cutting deep like a blade is habitual. Slow 100 bands is looking like a ritual. Stand running out, so I move like a criminal. Bloodshot, vision lock, I'm pivotal. Sail on my way like a pirate, I'm cursed. Smoking my sins, bro, the ghost in a hearse. Lighting my wrist, it be shocking the earth. If time is money, then my watch got hurt. Shorty dance on the pole like a preacher. Hardcore turn love to a creature. Devil whispering the cost of my leisure. Lights a bomb, every step it get me no. Time ticket, gotta run it up for a flat line. Big bag, count it up, blow it like a landmine. Live fast, die young, demons in the moonlight. No rewind, ain't no second chance at this life, nah. I've been fighting the clock, I've been ducking the reaper. Wrote my name in a book, made a deal with a demon, looking deep in the smoke. I see all of my secrets, ain't no mask for the pain, so I sip on the ether. More money, more envy, that's how it go. She call me Da Vinci, I paint on her throat. Time running out, so I go for the smoke. Tidal wave flex, I'm too big for the boat. Diamonds dancing, got them freezing in place. Speed racer, never see me hit brakes. Time never waits, so I never delay. Bury my ops, got them sleeping away. Time ticket, gotta run it up for a flat line. Big bag, count it up, blow it like a landmine. Live fast, die young, demons in the moonlight. No rewind, ain't no second chance at this life, nah. Chain swinging, but I move like a phantom. Devil and Prada, he whispering ransom. Life like a dice, I'm rolling for random. Blast through the night, leave a scar for the anthem. I ain't ready for this shit. Time ticket, gotta run it up for a flat line. Big bag, count it up, blow it like a landmine. Live fast, die young, demons in the moonlight. No rewind, ain't no second chance at this life, nah. Time ticket, gotta run it up for a flat line. Big bag, count it up, blow it like a landmine. Live fast, die young, demons in the moonlight. No rewind, ain't no second chance at this life, nah.
Oh, brother, oh, brother, oh, brother. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, and welcome back to a little bit of, whoa, my hair's all messed up. Sorry for my general disheveled look. I just got done watching an episode of Cops, and gets me pretty fucking amped up, if I must say so myself. So that's why I look how I look. It wasn't that I just went to the gym. It wasn't just that I did cardio, and my heart rate is definitely not currently 110 beats per minute. It's because I was watching Cops, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I was trying to take my mind off of really whatever's coming down barreling at us right now. It's definitely, it's not that I'm trying to forget that I have $75,000 on the line for this earnings, and I basically have about 10 minutes to decide what I want to do, because golly gee willikers, this could get a little bit frosty, I must say. It could get a little bit frosty. It could get a little bit saucy, if you know what I'm talking about. Very quickly, here's a little looky-see at the market. So why can you guys not see that? Why is that not coming up? Is it coming up now? Hello. Okay, there it is. We did hit a new all-time high today, so that's pretty exciting. Whatever the intraday high is that you're seeing right here, in the realm of what do we technically tap, it was barely a new all-time high. 6487, I suppose, and we might hit another all-time high going into close here, but we took out the previous high at 6481. That was the previous high, and now we're looking pretty good. We are looking pretty good. So whatever this intraday high is, it is, like I said, in fact, the new all-time high. So a little bit of optimism going into it, but just because people are optimistic doesn't necessarily mean that they're right. There's definitely a lot of optimistic fools out there, and we're going to see who's right today. As we get ready, I do want to show you some of the flow going into this. The S&P 500 had a huge pop midday, 12:30 to 2:30. gave it all back, and then at 3:15 we got another little bit of a pop. Specific to the Mag 7, pretty much the same situation. 12:30 to 2:45, good pop, gave it back, popping into close right now. And then here's what you guys care about, specifically Nvidia. And as I'm prepping you guys up, you have 8 minutes to go until the market closes. As in, if you're trying to make an Nvidia options play, you should probably make it somewhat soon. But what I find fascinating is from 12:30 to 1:30, there was a perfect 1 hour long buying program that just ripped it. Bought. It lasted perfectly 1 hour. This green line are calls that expire this Friday. This is a short-term bet. A lot of positive delta was added in there, folks. So is it just a strong bet? Maybe. The nature of this, the fact that it didn't just splash the pot, this literally lasted 1 hour. 1 perfect hour. It was perfectly systematic. This tells me a large player was buying calls. Now, were they buying to open, buying to close? Obviously, we're going to be able to find out when we check out the differentials in open interest. But this is very interesting, to say the least. And once again, this is specific to Nvidia. Obviously, that's why we're here. We have Nvidia earnings on deck as the overall market, the S&P 500, hit an all-time high today, and the Nasdaq is not far away. So right here, here's the hot news, and then here's the hot news. Let me get into this. S&P 500 inches higher to new record as traders brace for Nvidia earnings. Nvidia reports second quarter earnings after the bell, so sometime between like 4:05 and 4:20, we're going to get the numbers, and then the call's actually at 5 p.m. Nvidia reports fiscal second quarter earnings on Wednesday after the bell. That is today. The company's growth has been driven by Nvidia's data center business, which accounts for about 88% of the company's total business. And in fact, it's so crazy right now that I was reading a stat today that Nvidia is literally 8% of the entire market right now. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. So the line in the sand is an EPS of $1.01 per share, and we're looking at a revenue of $46 billion. And as of this moment, the expected move is 5.5%. 5.5% is what the options market is basically saying we're going to go. So as of, let's just say we close right here, 5.5% puts us up. The expected move is roughly 191 and some change, almost 192 to the upside. And then a 5.5% drop to the downside would be roughly 172. So we're basically talking 192 or we're 172. That's just what the options market is pricing in terms of volatility. Roughly, that's about $250+ billion, about 260, 275-ish. So that's the expected move in terms of the options market. The options market itself, we're seeing a little bit of put selling, a lot of put buying. By definition, that is bullish. And just while we have 5 minutes left here, can I get this to load? Did I type it in right? NVDA. All right, come on, load. Okay, Nvidia. So for this Friday's expiration, there's more calls and plays than puts. A lot of people seem to be targeting this 185 level for the next 1, 2, 3 expirations. In terms of today's change, not much. The volume, a lot of calls, some puts, but then really what I care about is this right here. We have a lot of call selling and put selling. And then I suppose for later on for the 5th, you have no real change to the calls, some put buying, then call. This is what I find interesting right here is if you fast forward to September 19th, you have a metric shitload. Oh, wait, you guys can't see this. Fuck, I'm sorry. Right here is what I care about. If you look at the September 19th expiration, today's trading was a lot of call buying and a lot of put selling. That by definition is like, this is the open interest change based on volume. Opening of calls and selling of puts. This is what I find very interesting. So once again, this is for the 19th. Buying calls, selling puts. So judging on that, it tells me that the bulls are more optimistic. Now, are they going to be right? Well, I'll tell you better after we listen to all this stuff, but I just want to give you the metrics before we really get into close. And speaking of which, as we're getting a little bit closer to close, we are making kind of a push here across the board, 356. So it's about to go dingity ding ding ding. And I have a lot of money on the line on this one. You know what? Since we're here, I have no point in really hiding this from you. I've been in all these plays since August 22nd. Tesla calls, SPY calls, Q calls, TQQ calls, and BITX calls. Obviously, the BITX position is the worst right now. The other ones are pretty much netting out. And I just have a lot of exposure, bullish exposure to the overall market. And basically, when this opens tomorrow, the account's either going to be 300,000 or it's going to be 200,000. Like, this is either absolutely ripping. I don't know. It's going to get crazy. It's going to get crazy. And since we have 3 minutes left, what is everyone's best guess? What is everyone's best guess? Are you bullish? Are you betting on Pump City? Are you bearish? And are you betting on just Crashola? Where are you guys at? What are the vibes? How are you feeling? I want to know. Cast your vote, and it doesn't count if you cast your vote after the market closes. You have to be doing it right about now. Right about now, bro. We mooning. Exposure sounds expensive. Maybe. I'm very bullish, but I don't play earnings. Might go sideways, so Theta wins. Moon City. Nvidia plus 8%. Pump City. Bull. Set up a quiz. I think you mean a poll. I want a pump followed by a dump. Bull got Tesla calls. Nvidia bad guys. Bucks trend. Betting on the bulls. Pump. All right, well, we're about to find out, folks. This is your friendly 2-minute warning. You have actually 90 seconds left. Right now, NVIDIA's break even on the day. That's kind of natural. Really, the movement throughout the day before such a big earnings, it doesn't matter. What I'm kind of looking at is how people have been positioning for it, and I'm really liking this call buying. I'm really liking what I'm seeing in mid-September, call buying, put selling. I'm just hoping it's aggressive call buying. And then I suppose one other thing I could show you before the market closes is right here, NVIDIA, of what we have going on. Basically needs to get over this hump of 185. We have support at 182, looking to take out the hump of 185, sets up a test of 190. But remember, the expected move actually puts us closer to 192. So I'm kind of looking at this sweet pocket in here. And obviously, if NVIDIA gets up there, there's a very good chance that the overall market gaps up and whatnot. So excited about that, but you have literally 45 seconds to make a decision of what you want to do. You have 45 seconds. You have 45 seconds to decide what you're going to do. I've made up my mind that I'm just ripping it. I know that right now it's a 50-50 opportunity, but I can only base my decisions off of literally what I have in front of me. And what I have in front of me is everything is bullish. Price structure, bullish. Higher highs, higher lows. Price momentum is bullish. We're above all the moving averages. Looking at the options flow. The options flow is bullish, and we have some unique upside opportunities. The Qs could very much hit 575. Maybe we see the SPY push to 650. So I see some levels that I like right above, and we're going to see if we can get to it. Dingity ding ding ding. The casino is officially closed. Best of luck to all. We will see you again in the morning. And now this is the point when my blood pressure rises. We got to crack open a Waterloo seltzer here, and we're about to find out. We are about to find out. It's interesting to me how much of chat right now you guys are you have very, very different opinions. A lot of people are screaming bullish. A lot of people are screaming bearish. And half of you are about to be like completely wrong. Half of you are about to be massively, massively embarrassed here. Let's see. Do they have anything yet rocking on CNBC? They might have on some guest contributors to see what this is. Where is the stream? Here we go. All right. Get ready, team.
Rising costs from coffee tariffs.
Get ready.
On Wall Street. Welcome to Closing Bell Overtime, where winners stay late for Nvidia earnings. I'm John Fort. Morgan Brennan is off today. Nvidia is the big name we are awaiting this hour.
No reports out yet. This is just people trading for the fuck of it.
Ahead of today.
What do we have?
Those numbers is about
what do we have?
Down very slightly. It's not the only company we're going to hear from, though. We're going to be bringing you results from Snowflake, CrowdStrike, NetApp, Pure Storage, and Pure CEO Charlie Giancarlo is going to join me after those results. But before, He talks to analysts on the earnings call. Right now, though, let's start with the markets. Christina Partsinevelos, before
all
we
right,
talk about
get
NVIDIA,
ready, team.
which we're going to talk about all
team
hour. Let's talk about some other stuff. The
I know, yay, I get to talk about something else, which is why I was excited, because it's rare that I get to see or talk about
All right,
it.
we don't want to talk about something else. We're going to wait for a second. We have a couple minutes until this gets going, but I wanted to show you guys how it wrapped up for me today. I ended up making about 1.4K per account. Unfortunately, I got stopped out here on this one trade. I had a nice long trade, locked it in, got stopped out at break even, had a huge dip. I should have played the VWAP recapture right here. I think this was actually a pretty nice trade, going along at 86, risking 54, getting to ride it all the way up either to this breakdown or to this breakdown. Regardless, it was a really nice play, at least 40 points, at least another $800. Alas, I was busy watching cops, so I completely missed that trade. But overall, I like it. I feel like it's going pretty good, about 1.4K. I did that on 26 different accounts. I had the 20 Apex accounts, the 5 take profit, and then the 1 Tradeify. So green on the day, and now basically it's just waiting around to see what in the world is about to happen. And actually, in real time, we're going to be able to see some interesting movement in the NASDAQ, because remember, the NASDAQ is going to be trading up until 5 p.m. Remember, the futures market closes from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern each day. It's also officially closed all day on Saturday, but it trades on the Globex session. So we're going to be able to see some crazy movement here. So not only are we going to be able to track it in the NASDAQ, of course, you can watch on the S&P 500, and then we're going to directly see it here. But this movement, remember, it really doesn't matter because the numbers are not out quite yet. But obviously, we are waiting for that.
The market here, bring in Sandhill Global Advisor, Chief Investment Officer Brenda Vingello, and CNBC Senior Markets Commentator Mike Santoli. Brenda, you own
all-time
NVIDIA.
high is
all
184.48. Recent low is 171.21.
Specifically own NVIDIA.
Get ready. 5.5% move is the expected.
Matter given all the questions that have been
massively important
around the stock, or if you've owned it for a while, do you just sit on it?
Yeah, so we are long-term holders and think that some of this volatility around quarterly earnings is not all that much to get too excited about. However, this time around, I think heading into this print, we had the release of this MIT survey showing that a lot of implementation of AI at the corporate level was not really going as planned, and some questions that have come about, and certainly
Buckle
the
up,
question mark
Buttercup.
about China, which is an important part
going.
of NVIDIA's business. It's about 13% of revenues last year. So really, there are some questions, and there has been a question for the last several years of everybody questioning, are we at peak? Is this the peak moment and things are going to slow from here? So I think that's something to be aware of. But I think given all the commentary that we saw coming out of second quarter from the hyperscalers, comments last quarter from NVIDIA itself, from Jensen
the entire
Huang,
market,
about other avenues of growth,
NVIDIA.
in areas like sovereign spending. I think there still is a huge opportunity here for a continued build out of infrastructure. So we don't think that we're close to peak, but that's certainly a question I think the market grapples with frequently.
Is NVIDIA going to dump us all?
Mike Santoli, I guess it would be
NVIDIA
problematic
earnings.
if nobody were questioning the AI narrative, if everybody were a buyer, given how much some of these stocks have ripped from here. What would it take for NVIDIA to surprise?
Someone on Wall Street expects $600,000 on NVIDIA calls that expire this Friday. Holy shit. $600,000.
The cloud company said they're going to spend. We know roughly
Oh
how
my
much
God.
NVIDIA takes out of that. We know their operating margins are what they are.
That is
so I do
savage.
think it probably would take just having great clarity about the strength of the next couple of quarters to materially raise the guidance, as everyone's been saying. So I do think that you have to kind of keep a couple of things in mind that are kind of offsetting.
Binary event, folks.
Look,
We're flipping a very important quarter.
Even great numbers were not received particularly well in the immediate stock reaction. But overall, the earnings growth has supported the index valuations to be where we are, which is at record highs. So, you know, you can kind of say maybe you hit some bumps, maybe you get a euphoric reaction instantly, but it might not necessarily be something where the overall market rides those coattails.
Well noted. Well, a less than euphoric reaction to one of the first earnings that we're getting out of the
For those
gate
of you
today,
playing NVIDIA's earnings, it's officially too late to turn back now.
Numbers, Steve?
Yeah, John, and that's despite beats on the top and bottom lines here. I'll get into the rest of it in a second. EPS did come in here at $1.55.
What's this one on?
Adjusted.
Net
That's
tap,
a beat by 1
NTAP.
penny, what the street was expecting. Revenues were a beat as well, 1% 1.56 billion. Street was looking for 1.55 billion. Let's call that a beat to flat. Though a little bit of weakness in the numbers within the numbers
CrowdStrike's
here.
looking good. It has
Product
earnings as well.
revenue
So does
was lower
Snowflake.
than expectations, 654 million. Street wanted to see 664 million. I'm also looking at a little bit of softness on the lower end of the range for some of the guidance. That could be a drag as well. We see shares down about 5.5% now, John.
All right, Steve, thank you. Let's move on to Pure Storage, another storage company about the same size market.
Just give us
cap-wise.
Nvidia. Stop
Its
fucking
results
with
are
us.
out. Let's see
I
if
think
it's
everyone
moving in
should
the
just
other
stay
direction. It is,
silent until they
up
give us the
10%.
Nvidia
Get you
numbers.
the results. Revenue came in for Pure Storage at $846.2 million for Q2. Sorry, they came in at 861.
How wild is this right here? Nvidia is 8% of the S&P 500 and 10% of the Nasdaq. Isn't that that's absolutely ridiculous? 8% of the S&P 500 and 10% of the Nasdaq. Hang on. Companies by market cap. Sorry. Right here. It is a $4.4 trillion company. The next one is $3.8 trillion. It's more than $500 billion more than the next company by a little tech startup known as Microsoft, folks. I think you guys need to really appreciate what's going on here. When people are like, yo, we're looking for a 10% move, you're asking to add $440 billion to the market cap. A 10% move is $440 billion. You guys need to really appreciate that one. You guys really need to appreciate that.
Are out. Julia Borston has those numbers. Julia.
Snowflake's out.
John, Snowflake beating on the top and bottom line.
Snowflake
crushing,
up 12%, 200 to
225. Revenues of 1.14 billion ahead of estimates of 1.09
Market
billion.
cap is
Product
fake. Well,
revenue
that's
also
stupid.
coming in ahead of expectations. Non-GAAP operating margin 11% versus the street account estimate of 8.2%. The company also guiding to third quarter product revenue just ahead of expectations at 1.13 billion. Also saying they see non-GAAP third quarter operating margin of 9%.
This is for Snowflake if you're just joining now. This is not Nvidia.
Also just want to mention
Snowflake's
this one quote
popping.
in this quarterly report here. The company's CEO saying thousands of customers are betting their business on Snowflake, and now more than 6,100 accounts are using Snowflake's AI every week. Snowflake shares up over 12% in after-hours trading. Back over to you.
Golly.
Julia Borston, thank you. And do not miss Jim Cramer's exclusive interview with Snowflake's CEO, Sridhar Ramaswamy. It's coming up 6 p.m. on Mad Money. Brenda,
Dude, I'm telling you,
own
no
Snowflake.
one
What do you
cares
think
about
of these
that right
numbers and
now.
the direction where Sridhar's leading this company?
No one cares about
Definitely
that.
a great report, and not surprising though. I think when we look at Snowflake's offering, it's incredibly relevant in this environment where companies really need to be able to aggregate data and to do that in a secure way in order to implement
Snowflake's
AI.
ripping.
I also think when we'll see this play out over the next year or so, but when we look at Snowflake's largest competitor, it's privately held Databricks, and Databricks is valued much more highly in the private market than Snowflake is. It has similar revenue run rate, and it's valued at 100 billion market cap versus Snowflake at about 66 billion. So I think it'll be interesting when some of these companies do finally come public, and how that affects the current publicly traded companies and whether they kind of rise up and at some
New
of their
all-time high
higher
on
level
SPX.
of valuation becomes more justified.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting
NDX
comp for
new all-time
sure.
high is all the way up here at
Mike Santoli, as we
24,000.
await Nvidia
But we
coming
did
in,
hit
just
the
a few
Friday
minutes
high
here.
from the
We're
Jerome
also
Powell
looking at
speech.
some software impacts of this AI story.
Bitcoin
We
not
saw
doing
Box
anything.
have stronger than expected results last night and pop today. We saw, of course, MongoDB, another software name
waiting.
with their Atlas database, also has an AI play. And now
8%.
we see, and
That's
software hadn't been
fucking
doing
nuts.
so great lately, Snowflake up here as well. How much chatter is there about perhaps the dog days of summer and spring, maybe a whole dog year for software, perhaps starting to turn a corner?
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously seeing that the street was not positioned for anything that looked like sustainable
Knock 'em
good
dead,
news.
dude.
In most
Everyone
of the
is just
group, I
clenching
still
right
think
now.
It makes sense to
The
expect
whole
it to be
trader
a little bit
community
spotty
is
within
betting on
software in terms
Jensen
of potential winners
crushing.
and losers, and those stocks that really did get kind of overdone on the downside. I mean, if you look at a MongoDB, it had been crushed from its highs earlier in the year, and so the setup is good.
Nvidia on
We'll see
brink
how far
182.
relief
That's funny.
takes us. What's interesting to me
Currently
too is
trading
it's really the mega
182.35.
cap software names. Microsoft has traded
We're
poorly
waiting
since
for this
its
to
earnings
update.
reaction.
Here's the newsroom.
Salesforce is kind of where it was a couple of years ago. So
Let's
it
go.
seems like there's a little bit of a bifurcation going on here in terms of who's got the sustainable
Let's
edge.
go.
Yeah, speaking of, we got CrowdStrike results just crossing. Initial move is down. We're going to bring those to you
Crowd.
just as soon as we've gone through them. But for now, Brenda,
Crowd
Mike, we'll
getting
see you
crushed
both
down
again in just a little
7%.
bit.
So
We're just a few minutes away
CrowdStrike
from
missing,
Nvidia's reports,
Snowflake
expected at around
crushing.
420.
Thus far, 1
We'll
and
get you
1.
those numbers as
And
soon
we're
as they
all
cross.
waiting
A
on
reaction from
Nvidia.
our all-star
We're
panel.
all waiting.
Overtime. Be right back.
Should be in about 5-ish minutes. Should be in about 5-ish minutes. I want to know how this is going to go. How is NQ going to react? All right. What's everyone's guess? What's the congratulations Nvidia just hit my 182 zero risk investment? Well, there's no such thing as a zero risk investment, so that's crazy. Nvidia numbers are absolutely unreal. Data center revenue. This is a really cool platform. What is this platform? Let's see how the world's favorite hyperscaler plays out. Listening to the Nvidia earnings call with my one share. Nvidia earnings are due at 4:20 p.m. 4:20 p.m. as in we have less than 7 minutes. Someone said crowd ripping. No. What? Brian McFly, are you looking at the same stock as everyone else in the world? Is your chart upside down, perhaps? Perchance? You might want to look into that one there, buddy. You might want to... NVIDIA will be 11% coming AM. 11%. You think it's going to add $450+ billion to its market cap from this earnings? You think it's going to add $450 billion? You think it's going to add one Elon Musk to its market cap? One Elon Musk. That's what you think is going to happen. What is this? Hang on. I just got... What's this one? Are people joking around already? What are we seeing? Me listening to NVIDIA's earnings call with $20 on whether they say gaming. Oh, wait. What's Kalshi? Kalshi, NVIDIA. What are the Kalshi NVIDIA bets? So you can bet on what words? Hopper, Cosmos, Professional. What is this one? What will NVIDIA say during the next earnings call? So,
Welcome back to Overtime. CrowdStrike
data center,
is down, I think, about
99%,
7%,
China, 99%,
on
production,
earnings. Steve Kovach,
99%.
What do the numbers look like?
The numbers look great, John. I'm trying to figure out why we're seeing the stock down nearly 8% on this. They pretty much beat on every metric here.
Talking
We
about
got EPS
CrowdStrike.
beating by 10 cents.
Dude,
at
no
93
one
cents
cares.
adjusted.
We're all
We
just
have
fucking
revenues
around
beating
waiting for
slightly,
NVIDIA. Come on.
1.17 billion. Street wanted to see 1.15
NVIDIA is at 420,
billion.
yeah.
Subscription revenue right in line with estimates. ARR better than estimates. Guidance looks
is
good,
this?
so I'm really not clear
Producer
what's going on.
sending
I'm going to
something
keep
in.
digging through this report for you, John, and see what's really sending shares down. But pretty
is
on
this
the high
how
level
it
here,
looks?
looks like a pretty good report. You see
Fin
shares
Chat
off
is
better
now
than
Fiscal
7.5%
AI
right
announcing
now,
$10 million
Well, yeah, we're
Series
just a
A
few
and
minutes in. We've got the
more.
call, of course, so we'll watch that as well. Steve,
Looks kinda
thanks.
cool.
Well, don't go anywhere. Our all-star
Professional,
panel breaks
Cosmos,
down NVIDIA's
Hopper.
earnings, what they mean for the AI trade and the stock, and Pure Storage
All right.
shares are soaring.
It'll get posted
after earnings
here.
beat.
We're
We're gonna hear
waiting.
from that company's CEO.
We have less
coming
than
up on
5
Overtime.
minutes.
Be right back.
Less than 5 minutes. Futures market kind of just holding steady here. Pretty much right where we closed. 23,600. Dude, this is either going to 700 or this is going down to 500. It's one or the other, honestly, maybe even more. This is about to get nutty in here. The futures market's going to get wild with this. It's going to get wild. All right, well, maybe we take these last couple minutes here to pray together. Maybe we grab each other's hands and just pray to the market gods, and hopefully we've been good traders this year. 15 seconds. Oh, sorry, that's on NQ. I want to see the 1 minute on NQ. 1 minute right here. Okay, 1 minute on NQ and Nvidia. There's a 15-second. We're gonna get real zoomed in. We're gonna watch the show up close and personal. We're gonna stare at the sun with no sunglasses, no eye protection. I'm just getting an alert now on GNS, that piece of shit pump and dump stock. What alert did that? Oh, it's breaking down because it was the most obvious pump and dump ever. How's that other pump and dump doing? Open? Oh, it's also breaking. These pump and dumps, how do people keep falling for them? Like, honestly, seriously, someone needs to riddle me that. How do people keep falling for these pump and dumps time and time again? I don't get it. I don't get it whatsoever. All right, let's see. I want to see a pop to 800. You know, that's your boys level. Maybe we need to do something. Maybe we need to get our Lucky Charms out here. All right, come on. Come on. All right, we got to get a little bit of a magnet. You know, whatever anyone says, when you see other people using emojis to trade, understand that they stole that from me. I've been doing this for years. And anyone who says that they're coming up with it themselves, they literally just stole it off me. They literally just stole. No, we need this. We need to have a green magnet. Everyone get your emojis on your chart right now or it's not going to work. I promise you they will miss on earnings if you guys do not get this on your chart right now. You guys bring up your charts. Do your part is what I'm trying to say. Do your part. Get the emojis on. Do we need a luckier one? Where's the moon? Where's the moon? Here we go. Here's the moon. All right. Maybe we got to do something like this. We're going to rock it. We'll get a nice. All right. We got this. All right. Here's the moon. Come on,
back
folks.
To overtime. We
Put
are
in
moments away from the main event, Nvidia's results. But while we wait, let's bring in our panel.
There we go.
Joining me now, Patrick
All right,
Moore,
so we have a support here with the rocket. We have natural price attraction, and we have our final destination. We have the moon.
What's the big question?
Folks, you got to help me out. Help me help you. I'm trying to help everyone make money right now.
Questions about the ongoing
I'm putting the market on my back, you know?
The first one is Blackwell shipment
Ooh,
cadence.
buddy, we are 75 seconds out.
Completely rack scale. I think networking supply is a different one, which is you can't ship a rack without networking, and it doesn't have to be NVIDIA's, but it should be NVIDIA's if NVIDIA.
Someone says crash incoming. They're wrong. They're stupid and they're wrong.
It's not a binary question anymore. It's
NVIDIA will sort at $200 after hours.
Off the top to the federal government. So those are the three things.
All these retards are waiting for NVIDIA.
Gloria, what does it take to buy it here? You could argue, boy, it's at these highs. Look how much it's run.
All right,
but it
folks.
had been running a lot more until it ran into
You're
all
into
these
your final
questions
35
lately.
seconds.
So, is that a springboard for the stock, or is so much of this priced in?
Well, I think they're appropriately priced right now. If you look at about a 35 times earnings multiple on what looks like to be a 25% or so growth next year, I think that's fine. To Patrick's point, China will provide
Buckle
noise.
up. Get your protection on.
When we get the numbers, we isolate what the China effect is. If the numbers
10
if the
seconds.
For next quarter
We have
is low,
takeoff.
that's probably because the company doesn't want to commit
to
what chips it can sell next quarter and how much of them.
All right, they're going to be out any second.
Be really the most important topic. It's going to provide all the noise because what's really important is that the AI demand is still strong. It's getting stronger. If we learned anything over the last 6 months is that the models are getting better.
What is it?
They're getting adopted. They're
It must
creating a
not be out
tremendous
yet.
amount of inference demand. So the demand is healthy.
Get us the
It
fucking
should remain
numbers,
healthy.
Tonto.
China will just provide noise in the meantime.
Get us
Brenda
the
Vangelo,
numbers.
That sounds like a reason to really be careful and listen very closely to the earnings call itself and not react too much to just the numbers in this report.
Yes, I think that's absolutely the case. But I will also say that the CEO Jensen Huang also does a pretty good
Get
job
us the
every
fucking
quarter
numbers.
of
My
really
heart
laying out the
can't take
bullish
it.
case
What's my
for
heart rate
NVIDIA,
at? Where's
in
my
terms
phone?
of opportunities that he still sees in front of the company. So we'll hear that as well. But
No,
certainly
fuck!
with the stock move recently, the stock is, you could say, somewhat priced to perfection. Although honestly, it's really not that expensive
What's
given
the
the overall
what are
growth
the
rate and
numbers? Is it
underlying
a
earnings
fake out?
strength. But
This isn't
what we've
good.
seen in this
We're getting that
market is
5%
any
down
slight
move.
disappointment is
Shit.
cause for some kind of
Bounce it
correction.
back.
But I think
Fuck,
if we did
what are
see
the
that kind
numbers?
of correction, I think it might be an opportunity to step in for those who aren't involved.
What are the numbers?
We just saw the results cross the wire. We are going to go through them.
46.7 versus 46.2, 41.1. Data center lower than expected, but overall revenue higher than expected.
Reverse course. Patrick Moorhead, as we're going through this, what has been the impact of Nvidia on the overall AI trade?
You guys didn't put enough emojis on your chart.
Equipment makers
You didn't
that
put
are so
enough
hungry
emojis.
for their allocation of Nvidia chips?
Dude,
I mean, AI
give us the
defines
numbers.
AI
Stop
market
fucking talking.
right now, and it pulls everything along with it. And whether that's CPU, networking chips, racks, power, cooling.
Okay,
it pulls
EPS beat,
everything with
and
it.
then
So the
revenue also
read-through
beat. So
even
they
reads
beat on
through
top
to
and
its
bottom.
competitive products that
Nvidia
are
down $7.
XPUs,
They
which
did beat though.
aren't even
EPS and revenue
necessarily
once again to report
GPUs.
did
And,
beat.
you know,
EPS
I think,
105 versus
John, if I look
101.
at the core
Revenue
hyperscaler
46.7
demand,
versus
it's
46.1.
intact. And what we're doing is we're
It looks like thus
nitpicking,
far the issue
right
was
now
the
on stuff that's
miss
important
on the
short-term, but
subsector
long-term,
of data
that's
centers
really what
here.
matters here.
Gil, how
That's-
important
it's a
are
beat,
the gross
folks.
margins, or are
This-
they just still, you know, as long as they're in the low 70s, it's
Bounce it back?
nosebleeds for.
You still have time to get the
for chip
emojis on your
margins
charts.
regardless.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise in the gross margins. Nvidia has gone into introducing a new product set every year. Every time there's a new product, it has to ramp up. The margins come in a little lower. What's more important is that Nvidia is still a price
Dumped from
maker.
180,
And so
160
its
to
customers are paying it whatever
175.
it asks them to, which is what's really important for gross
Feels like it
margins.
should
I
be
got to
up,
interrupt you
though.
because we
Go ahead.
are ready with those results. Christina Parks, Analyst, please give
All
us
right.
those Nvidia numbers.
That's a beat on the top and bottom line. EPS $1.05. That's adjusted. That's higher than what the street anticipated on revenues of $46.7 billion. That is an increase of 56% year over year. In regards to the data center revenue for the quarter, that's coming in at $41.1 billion, slightly less than what the street anticipated at $41.34 billion. Non-GAAP gross margins, 72.7%, slightly higher. There is a line in the report saying, quote, there were no H20 sales to China-based customers in the second quarter. Nvidia, though, benefited from a $180 million release of previously reserved H20 inventory from approximately $650 million in unrestricted H20 sales. So they did benefit from $180 million, but overall, the key takeaway there is there were no H20 sales. I'll come back with the guidance in just a moment. You can see shares dropping 4% on this news.
All right, Christina, thank you. And we will look for that guidance as well. Gil,
Whoa, do they cut him?
after posting a first quarter loss with those
Dropping
for that.
Uh-oh. CNBC is short-circuiting here. Yeah, currently down 3.8%, trading at roughly 175. Holy shit. The SPY and the Qs poked right to today's low. What's crazy is, I don't know, it feels like the numbers really weren't, they beat on top and bottom. The data, once again, looking at the overall revenue, it beat expectations. But they like to tranche it out and look at certain components of the overall revenue. And the data center part, which is obviously very, very important for Nvidia, slightly missed, but their margins were slightly higher. So one was better than expected, one was worse. They beat on top and bottom, so that was better. And then maybe the market's reading a little bit too much into this whole China thing. That could be some of the complications here. Yes, it is down by 4. But this thing, it's settling at 174. Settling at 174. This peak here was 183, and it closed at 181. So roughly where my cursor is was its closing value. We're not out of the woods yet, as in this could bounce back, but also simultaneously this could get worse as well. Nvidia on August 22nd, our board of directors approved additional $60 billion share repurchase authorization without expiration. That is another bullish thing. Okay, what is this? Strong Q2 results, but some takeaways. Guidance below expectations. That's not good. The $54 billion Q3 revenue forecast fell short of Wall Street's 54.7, so it's off. Signaling slower growth. China market risk. No H20 sales to China in Q2, coupled with new export restrictions in China, push for domestic chips, raise concerns about future revenue. High valuation concerned with a forward PE of 43 and recent profit-taking investors are interesting. Broader AI sector fears and profit-taking in mega cap to amplify the anticipation of the Fed's reserve signals contributed to the decline. The stock fell 6% in post-earnings despite beating Q2 estimates, reflecting high expectations and sensitivity to guidance. Sensitivity to guidance. So it seemingly is this guidance thing of why we're down, because it did beat. But remember, the market is a forward-looking mechanism, not a backward-looking mechanism. And when you're looking at the top and bottom numbers, top and bottom line, that's backwards. That's how it played out in the last quarter, which is why recently, over the past, couple of years, the market's really been weighing the future guidance more. Because once again, people care about where things are going rather than where they've been. So even though it beat on EPS, even though it beat on revenue, once again, that's what played out last quarter. It is this guidance part that I've highlighted here, and really probably the China risk that the market is not the biggest fan of. My puts are printing. I highly doubt it. No, they're not. We didn't make the expected move. Your puts were pricing in a 5.5% drop, and the calls were pricing in a 5.5% pop. For you to make good money, or really any money, depending on your expiration, you would need it to move in excess of 5.5%. So it's the premium sellers that won the day. Your puts are not printing at all. And I'm a little bit concerned that you think they're... Do you know how to play puts? You're going to get crushed not only by theta, but by the IV crush. IV crush is going to completely bone you on that one, man. Your IV... Remember... When it comes to the world of options, you have intrinsic value and extrinsic value. The intrinsic value is how much of in the money you are. Most of the time, people buy out of the money, so you have no intrinsic value. The other part of the equation is extrinsic value, such as your time until expiration, volatility, basically all the fancy Greeks. Right now, that extrinsic value that you had, you just lost it. It just completely disappeared on you. The options market was betting on a 5.5% move. You just got vol crushed. You just got absolutely vol crushed, and so did call buyers. And that statement would be true even if we were up 1.9%. But speaking of that, we're actually slowly but surely coming back up. How is the market rack? It's also slowly but surely coming back up. So it's grinding. I mean, look at this, Jesus. Which one of you degenerates went long on the Nasdaq here? My calls are printing red. Yeah, they're printing. They're printing one color or the other. Tesla has missed 2 and pump. When does vaporware revive? Well, remember, focus on the guidance, not necessarily the top and the bottom. The market recently, especially in the tech sector, has been much more reactive. Dude, look at this. We went from 680 down to 440, back up to 580. That is nuts, dude. That is nuts. Well, maybe Jensen will be able to sweet talk his way out of this, but remember the closing value. Let me highlight this. What was it? 181.60, 181. This line is where we closed. Let me delete this line just to not confuse people. But this is where we closed at. We're really not that far away. So the market was excited, a bit of an overreaction, and I can tell that because we bounced from 172 back up to 178. Wait, someone said increased guidance? We just read something that they lowered guidance. We just read something that they lowered. Now we got to dive into it ourselves. Blackwell platform demand surges as AI. Like, there's definitely good and bad aspects of this. This wasn't a complete beat, but it wasn't also a complete miss. Like, you could even see here, this was the questionable thing. The data center's questionable. Segment results, automotive, who cares? That's really, really small. EBITDA, that could be that profitability, that's probably the problem. But this, I would argue this was overall more good than it was bad. CEO commentary. Blackwell is the AI platform the world has been waiting for. Demand is extraordinary as reasoning AI drives massive increases in training and inference performance. Where Q3 guide. So so this one is actually saying it did beat on guidance, but someone else posted that it missed on guidance. So according to this one, they were expecting 52.5 and they're saying 54 plus or minus 2%. Margin did beat this quarter and they're actually expecting better margin. OPEX 4.2 billion adjusted. It is very difficult. It's difficult to explain why this should be read right now. Based on those numbers across the board, was it perfect? I mean, maybe it's read just because people are like, it's just a high valuation. But it almost appears as if the premium sellers win again. We did not really move the expected move at all. The initial overreaction hit the expected move, but we are not holding down there. So whether you saw sold calls or sold puts, congrats to you, because basically the vol sellers, the people take advantage of theta decay on either side. You win again. You win again. You win again. You win again. Joke's on you, Matt. I don't know what any of those words mean. Nah, you don't really need to. They're kind of made up. I'm still holding out a little bit of hope that we have something going on with Nvidia here. Maybe at their talk they can, I don't know, announce something cool. I'm trying to figure out this guidance thing because we'll play China numbers. They literally softballed the next quarter. They really did, because if you think about it, this quarter, like, we sold nothing to China. And now if they can sell anything to China, another extra billion here or there, that could be actually a pretty big deal. They beat on revenue, beat on top. Yeah, the China thing maybe in the short term a bit concerning, like for the quarter. The guidance, I'm afraid to comment on it because we read one thing. Someone posted that the guidance beat. The other one posted that the guidance did not beat. NVIDIA is probably going to resplit their stock soon. If they announce a stock split, that would be something. NVIDIA beats earnings, but the stock is on a downfall. Dude, this is so many retail traders don't understand that at all. The guidance is so much more important. And they're like, well, we beat. Why are we not up? We missed. Why is it not down? If you think a stock goes up because they beat on top and bottom, if you think a stock goes down because they miss on top and bottom, you got to pay attention to more earnings, because there's so much more to the story. So much more to the story. The only thing I'm really seeing that's a bit of a concern is the data center. Like, I think you must have had bots initially react to that and be like, hey, that's not good. Just the data center revenue. The gross margin was good. That's a good number on gross margin. And wait, what's on this page? Oh, okay, these are all the, yeah. So what missed was the data center relative to the Wall Street expectations. Do they have the picture of the CEO commentary in here? Gross margin was actually really good. All right. Wait, was it on that last page? I want to see if they wrote in any other commentary or if we're going to really have to listen to it. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Raise your hand if you sold premium. Who in here, whether you sold puts or whether you sold calls, who in here sold premium? Because Even though it's not the fun bet, it is the smart bet. And if you sold premium, you won. If you sold calls, you won. If you sold puts, you won. You won. You won, you won, you won. The premium sellers, and that's honestly, that is the play for earnings. Like statistically, the smart play is to sell. Sell your calls, put in the under bet. Sell your puts, put in the over bet. And that's the smart. Sell to open, basically. I played leveraged equity. What? Left hand up, right hand down. Theta gang gang. Yeah, the Theta gang. Theta gang gang. Yeah, they won. Calendar spreads, you win pretty much. I bought, put, and sold them. I bought a put and sold them. Well, that's a different story. I sold my kidney to buy puts. How am I doing, Matt? Well, it sounds like you're down a kidney, and you're probably going to be down money by the time the market opens, because the IV crush is going to be very, very, very real. Winner, arthropod dinner. Interesting. I played NVDA 2X bull shares. Well, that's not good. Why would you have done that? You already had enough leverage in the options market. Well, folks, all right. It's probably going to be just hanging around between, I don't know, 176 and 178. Obviously, before the numbers came out, we went up. Then all the bots processed the earnings very quickly. They freaked out about the data center stuff and probably some of the commentary on China. It dumped. Then other traders started to step in and realize, hang on, those numbers are actually not that bad. And we almost got back up to break even. We were within $2 of it. And now we're basically going to go nowhere until the actual earnings call at 5 p.m. So that's in about 25 minutes. Yahoo Finance headline says Nvidia thinks his data center miss. Yeah, so once again, to clarify, the overall revenue beat expectations, but then you could look at the subcomponents of revenue, and the data center one, which is going to be a very important one for Nvidia when the AI hype cycle, that one did miss by a little bit. So that's why we are seeing things react the way we are. And Jesus, the SPY tagged a new all-time high if you count post-market, and then we quickly vomited to basically today's low. Jesus. It's going to be interesting to see where things open up. Look at all that movement. A couple minutes post-market, and we just completely traverse in excess of the range of today's high and low. That is wild. Absolutely wild. So once again, it's not over yet. Obviously, if you have a position, you might want to be paying attention very, very closely to what the team has to say at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. is the actual earnings call. So I just wanted to call that out to all of you. But with respect to this, that's pretty much it. I'm going to be listening to it myself. And in all reality, you can't do anything. If you're playing options, you can't do anything till 9:30 tomorrow. But the TLDR is the Theta Gang wins again. That is the TLDR of this show. The Theta Gang has won, and they won pretty freaking handedly. But hey, we'll see. We'll see where the market actually opens up at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Don't forget, GDP report is coming out at 8:30 tomorrow, an hour before the market opens. So we're definitely going to have some action, not only in post-market today with the call, but then again afterwards. Early in the morning, GDP report, 8:30, market open. We're going to see where Nvidia is actually at. So I will catch you there. Best of luck with whatever you're doing overnight. I hope you make a bunch of money, and I'll catch you later. Peace.